Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Natasha Sodi Babbar. I have done PhD in media studies and sociology. Besides that, I have been in academics for a long period of time, and I've too worked in the industry in many domains like electronic media, in radio, and these days I have my own startup with the name of I Deliver, where I mentor students. And the whole idea of the concept of I Deliver is that whatever comes, we should not stop delivering. We must continue. Today I'm just going to talk about the domain media studies, which is a very prominent question, and which is a very prominent domain, I would say, these days, because especially in the era of internet, we see that the use of the media, initially we had those big organizations, just creating the content, delivering the content, and now it's anybody, it's out there, it's out me, who could create a content and be a media person. This is one domain, this is one field which is actually very much growing. When we look at the word media studies, to start with, I would want you to understand that what does this term media studies mean, and then we'll be talking about the sub-disciplines under it, what are the career opportunities we have, what are the basic courses we have. So all this we'll be discussing in this short video. So to start with, let's first understand what is media studies. So, as the name itself says, that media studies is understanding media in different domains, right? It's about understanding how does this media work, not just in terms of the production, but in terms of how a research is being conducted, what is how are it is decided that, I mean, how to test the audience, how do we figure out that what is more liked by the audience, and likewise we can create the content. Similarly, in terms of the different domains, I mean, if we clearly divide it, right from the print media to this new media, which is internet, how the content is created, how the content is finally presented, right? So all those bits, they cover in the subject called media studies. And if we talk about sub-disciplines in media studies, we have a lot. If we just look at the very basic print media, right? Just in the print media sub-discipline, you would find that there is a newspaper segment, there is a magazine segment, there is an advertising. A whole lot of advertising still goes in the newspaper, right? And so likewise, when we switch to the electronic media, we have a great possibility in radio, and so we have in television, right? Whether it is related to doing a research for the content, or it is for creating the content, or for it is producing the content, or it is delivering the content, right? So we are not, I mean, the best part of the subject is that it is not limited to one thing. If you are creative, you have a space. If you are somebody who is technically good, again, you have a space. If you are somebody who writes well, who is an introvert, who doesn't speak well, but loves writing, again, this field is there for you. You are somebody who has a great imagination, who has a great visualization, right? Or you are the one who like interacting with the people. So when you see, so all these skills, this is one subject where it's not that you need to have one skill and so you can get into it, right? You can explore yourself, you can see what skill you are best in, and likewise you can choose your sub-discipline. As I was saying, that you can select print media as your career, you can select radio or television or the digital platform. Besides this, we also have advertising, we have corporate communication, we have public relations. You can get into the research, which is a very, very important and upcoming field in India, right? Because in India, we still have to work on, on this area of research. We still have to have agencies which can provide a very authenticate research. So again, studying this subject, studying this discipline can be of opportunity for you to get into a research segment also. So this is a broad perspective that we can talk in terms of what is media, what are the various sub disciplines we have in terms of them, in terms of media, right? Now moving ahead, now we will be talking about that what can you do, if you want to specialize in the subject, right? And what other students, what are the subjects, it's not something that you have to just study this, you also have an opportunity that you can other studies along with, right? So first I will be talking about that what can you do. So with media specialization, right? So different courses, if you look at the curriculum of the different universities, of the different affiliated colleges, you would find out that there are certain universities who give media studies as a major subject. As a major subject means that you can do your graduation, you can do your post-graduation, you can even do PhD, right? But on the other side, there are also universities that gives you an media studies course as a minor subject, which implies that with the other major subjects, let's say, these days, I hope you all know, in fact, the media studies subject have been introduced even at the schools level also. Likewise, because the whole idea is you could be in any field. You could be a MBA, you could be an engineer, you could be a doctor, you could be in any profession, right? But taking a minor as your media will help you to develop the skills inside you so that you can spread that word, you can spread that message, right? By using any of the different forms of the media. Now, if you decide to choose media studies as your major subject, and as I told you, you can get into graduation not just in the Indian universities, but universities abroad. So alongside, you can also, if you are done with the graduation, let's say, and then you think that no, media is something that interests you. After graduation in any of the stream, you can be graduate in any stream, but still you can opt for the post graduation, right? In terms of media studies, right? And in India, we have there is a entrance criteria which I'll be talking later on, right? And in the West also, but there is a little difference in terms of the criteria that we will be focusing ahead. But if you are specialized, if you're just a media graduate, right, you have an option that you can get into the industry. All you need to build is your skills, because this is one subject which is skill oriented, right? So if you develop good skills after completing graduation, you can be the part of any industry. You can join journalism, as a reporter, you can join journalism as a camera person, you can join journalism in the editing bit. And similarly, if you're not somebody who is interested in journalism, you can get into the radio, you can be an RJ, right? And if you believe that radio is again not your call, you can get into films, right? These days, especially with the internet, I mention this again and again, because with the digital media, right, you could see that there is a pool of new opportunities that has opened up. Right, we often see that on the YouTube and all the OTT platforms, like we have Netflix, we have Amazon Prime. We see that a lot of content is being created, right, in terms of films, in terms of series. So they are always looking for some writers. They are always looking for somebody who can write a good script for them, right? They are always looking for characters. They are always looking for somebody who can do a good audio editing, video editing, somebody who can handle the camera. So this is one field, but when it gives you so many opportunities, what you need to do is you need to focus on few skills. You need to select your bundle of joy, right? You need to select what is best for you. What is that works in sync with your interest. So once you decide those set of things, those set of skills, those set of specialization, then that whole world is open for you. Then you can work here as well. You can, if you're interested, if you're somebody who has the inclination to work in Hollywood, right, so you can go there also. You can do a specialization course and be the part of the Hollywood industry as well. Now, this is when you specialize. In fact, when you even don't take media studies as your major subject. Now, if you are studying, I mean, in generally in any of the graduate courses, as I have mentioned before, that it is there in the school as a vocational subject also now. So, but with university, when you take up the subject, it gives you an opportunity to again present. Because see, I don't know, we often say 10 years back, that it is important to be literate, right? But now 10 years down the lane, it is said that, okay, you are literate, it's good, but now you have to be media literate, right? So if you're not media literate, if in the next 10 years, coming 10 years, if you don't have a digital presence, trust me, you will have no good space in terms of your profession. So you can study any major subject and take up media as a minor there also. Now these days, you have seen, when we have seen a pandemic for almost 1.5 to 2 years, and we still have the news coming up where the situations could be tough in the near time, right? So at that point in time, the kind of the messages, we have seen even the doctors using the platform, the digital platform. They were creating short reels, not just for the entertainment, but for spreading the word. So this very stream guides you that how you are supposed to create the content, right? How you can deliver that strong message, because this message multiplication can only, this magic of message multiplication can only happen with the knowledge of media studies. Moving ahead with the next question, that what are the different courses one can pursue in media studies, and what are the curriculum of those courses? Now, as I mentioned before as well, that although even at the school level, you can take the subject as a part of the vocational studies, but when you enter into the graduation level, right, as per the UGC norms, we have a nomenclature of the course that is called as BJMC. So that's Bachelor's in Journalism and Mass Communication, which was changed also. In some universities, they are still following Bachelor's in Journalism and Mass Communication, but in certain universities, it is also BA Journalism and Mass Communication. In some of the universities, this course is also as BA in Multimedia, right? So all these things, they are all these courses, that you can take up. And also, as I was telling you, that this media domain, right, contains smaller unit also. So we do have universities who offer graduation in advertising, right? We do have the courses that are coming up which are more on the digital media, right? But generally we see that UG under undergraduate, it is bachelor's in journalism and mass communication, and when we talk at the master's level, it is again MJMC, that's master's in journalism and mass communication. And alongside, you can also do PhD, that's after your master's. And it's not that you can just do the PhD in media studies. You can also do an interdisciplinary research, which is a combination of media studies, and you can have sociology, you can have psychology, you can have other subjects along with. Very briefly talking about the curriculum at the different levels, when you look at the graduation level, right? Because that is where they understand that they are going to introduce you to the subject. So you will have the basics of all the media. You will definitely have the historical perspective. Along with the historical perspective, you will have the understanding of these medias, right? And then a basic introduction of how the production happens in all these different kinds of the medias. Along with that, you'll have a basic introduction of advertising, you will have a basic introduction to photography, you will have a basic introduction to public relation, you will have a basic introduction to research, right? And when you get into a master's level, again, master's, this means it's a more specialized one. So this curriculum will not touch the historical perspective or the other details. This will be more related to creating the content. This will be studying the different production stages, that happens in the radio, that happens in the television, that happens for digital profile, right? So it talks about the research methods that we use in while conducting the media studies research. It talks about international politics, right? It talks about development communication. So these are the curriculums that you will find out at the graduate and the postgraduate level. And definitely at the PhD level, it is more research oriented, right? But if you're doing an interdisciplinary study, so you need to do the understand the basics of research plus the stream that you want to do in the media and the other and discipline that you're taking up for your PhD. What are the entry requirements for UG and PG? See, this is one stream where we don't have any specific entrance at a state level or at a central level. Although different university, if I talk about Symbiosis, if I talk about Delhi University, if I talk about Punjab University, if I talk about Guru Nanak Dev University, if I talk about all such private and the public universities, they have their internal entrances, right? That is what you need to clear in order to get. If I talk about IIMC, they have their own internal entrance test followed by a PI, personal interview. That is what they seek for you in order to get admission both at the UG and the PG level, right? So the basic is for a UG, you just need to have your +2 and then you need to clear that test and get into it. For a master's, again, it is not important that for a master's you need to have a graduate degree in media studies. You can be graduate in other stream and clear the entrance and can get into the PG. What will a media degree offer that more traditional degrees tend not to be? This is a very interesting question in terms of that gone are the days, when engineering, medical were the only major streams we have in Rome. Now, this is one degree, right, that can, if you study medical, right, you can be a doctor. If you study engineer, definitely you can be any of the engineers, let's say civil or electrical or computer or, other technologies that we have in. But with studying this subject, although this is a new age subject and this is a new age subject of new age technology, right? This is the new subject of this new medium that we use, right? These days we I don't know how many of send letters or how many of send even do calls also. We what we use is we send across the audio message, we sent across the images, right? So the whole pattern of how the communication was happening over the years has changed. And to understand that concept, to understand that change, to address that how new form of messages can be created is something you can understood while studying this subject, right? This subject can give you a sense of how different forms of the media, right? How different forms of the media can be utilized to create this new communication pattern, right? So it is definitely a better bit to catch than in comparison to the old traditional courses that we already have. As I mentioned before, at a state and central level, no, but every university have their own internal entrance exams which you need to clear, and then that entrance exam is followed by a personal interview, and that's how the selection is done. Alongside, there's another important information I want to give you here is that once you get into decide that you want to get into this course, yes, entrance is important, but along with the entrance, what they more focus is on your folio, especially with the universities at abroad. So if you have built your portfolio, that is good enough for you to get admitted into this course. So that's an additional important information I would like to give you. What are the kind of skills students need to have to pursue media studies? If I point them in the pointers, first is that you need to be creative. Right? So creative is one, being creative is one, and the primary skill that you require in order to be the part of this subject, right? So besides being creative, another important thing is you should have a good observation skill. You should have a good analytical skill, right? Besides being creative, being analytical, being a good observer, it's like you should be somebody, who has a good visualization, who has a good imagination, who has something that, yes, I have something, I want to convey that, or that how how to pick the things and how to present that to the outer world. So if you have those kinds of the skills, then this is the field that is for you. What are the further study options after completing graduation in media studies? After completing graduation in media studies, so see, this is not the subject wherein that, yes, you have to be a postgraduate to get into the industry. You can be just a graduate. There are different universities, private universities precisely, they are giving a very good course in terms at the undergraduate level also, where they are giving you an opportunity to be the part of 3 different continents, right? So they give you an opportunity where you can study some bit here in India and other 2 bits in the other 2 countries. So what precisely you require is the exposure. What precisely you require is to work on your skills. So if you're done with your skills, if you're done with the exposure, then in fact, while doing graduation, or in fact at the point when you finish your graduation, the whole industry is open for you. We have witnessed these days many stances where young kids, they are having their own YouTube channel. They are not just having their own YouTube channel, but they are also earning a lot from it. So after graduation, when you have an understanding, when you have a literacy of how media can be used, you can work somewhere, or you can be an entrepreneur also, which implies that you can have your own startup as well. How to enter the media industry? See, whenever you will be doing your master's course, either you're doing at a graduate level or you're doing at a postgraduate level, after every semester, right, whether you're doing here in India or you are doing abroad, you are supposed to get into an internship. Now, why that internship is important? Because this subject is not something that can be studied in the 4 walls of the room, right? You need to get out, you need to interact with the world, and that's how you can build up your career. So these internships actually gives you a experience, of how the work actually happens in the industry. So once you get out of the course, once you finish, let's say, your graduation, right? So post that, it's a very simple thing. There are different portals also, and alongside different universities, may it be private universities or the state universities, different media organizations, they also get into campus placements. And if you don't get placed with this process of the campus placements, you can directly go and apply. There are already a lot of portals where the job opportunities are available. The only one and the basic requirement that a media professional require is the skill. You need to be perfect in some of the skill, and then the world is open for you. What type of career aspect can a student expect after completing any program in media studies? As I mentioned before as well, when we talk about the career aspects, that means that what are the jobs, right, that you can take up. Now, when I see the definition of the job means that you should be working, you should be employed. Now, that employment can be with somebody or it can be self-employed. I always encourage that if you can start up your own thing, if you can be an entrepreneur, you can have your own newspaper, you can have your own radio station, you can have your own YouTube channel, you can have your own photography booth, or you can have your own production house, right? But if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, if you believe that you would like to be get employed with somebody, then again you can get into any of the print industry. In the print industry, from the reporter to the editor, to the news editor, to the camera person, to the printing department, to the advertising department, you can be in any role. Again, if you get into a television industry, again, you can be a reporter, you can be editor, you can be in the research team, you can be an anchor, you can be a camera person. If you get into internet stream, again, there in the internet, you can be a creator, you can be a research with the creation team, right? You can do the editing. So there are a lot of aspects, there are a lot of positions that you can hold after being. And if you don't want to get precisely into journalism, you have all different world, right? You can get into films, right? You can be a script writer, you can be a screenplay writer, you can be a cinematographer, you can be somebody from the production team, you can be a light man, a costume designer, a makeup man. So there are a lot of opportunities that you can choose once you complete this course. What are the media job profiles in the top recruiters? Now, as I mentioned before, that the different profiles we have already talked about, that all different profiles that you can talk up. And if you look at the top recruiters, so working with radio, if I talk about FM or if I talk about Radio Mirchi, right? So working with them is a fun also, and it is a good career opportunity as well. Similarly, in the newspaper, you can work with Times of India, you can work with The Hindu, you can work with Hindustan Times. If you want to get into the regional papers, you can work with Amar Ujala, you can work with, again, the Hindustan Hindi version, right? Dainik Bhaskar is another newspaper. And besides, the best part of this is because since our country, it is a multilingual country, so we just don't have options in the Hindi industry or English media industry. You also have a career prospect in the other regional language industry also. For example, Bengali, if you say of Calcutta and Bengal, so there's a lot of opportunities out there also. You get into Punjab, there also if you're somebody who is Sikkim based, or Southeast based, you have an option there also, right? So likewise, if I talk about the top recruiters in terms of the electronic media, then all these, if it is NDTV or it is Aaj or it is the Star, or even if the BBC also, right? So you can choose any of these bigger organization and be the part of it. So the next question in row is that what is the future of media industry and what a student can expect from the industry? So future is all ours, right? Why I say that future is all ours? Because we have witnessed that the communication pattern has altogether changed. The way we communicate is only through media, right? If you foresee your daily life, you would say that you're connected to your friends, to your acquaintances, to your peer group, to your employees, to any personal and the professional connection. You say that the media is involved everywhere, and especially with the dilution of this digital media, right? You as a media literate will have a lot of option, right? You will have a lot of career opportunities in terms of to work with, right? So and what can a student expect from the industry is, as I mentioned, that industry is all growing, right? We are no more creating films only for the bigger screens, but we are creating a lot of content for OTT platform, and we see that every day, thousands of content, 1,000 minute of the content is being uploaded on the different portals. And so the answer is there. So to upload that much amount of the content, so there is a very common saying. It says that the amount of the content that is uploaded on the internet in one day can actually be viewed in 100 years by a person, right? So you imagine the quantum of the content that is being uploaded on the content. And since you being from this industry, just believe the quantum of the opportunity that you hold for yourself. Okay, so future is all bright if you take up this course. Okay, moving ahead is that what is the average salary of media graduate? See, it depends again on this job profile that you take up, because as I told you, we have different kinds of the profile that are available once you finish this course. If you get into journalism, I am going to give you a brief idea of the of some of the profiles, some of the very common profiles that we have. For example, if you join in as a reporter to some organization, so the average annual salary will start from 3 to 3.5, right? Definitely it will go ahead with your expertise and with your experience, right? Similarly, if you are into the field of journalism, may it be a reporter or a camera person or even an editor, so the starting would be around 3.5, 3 to 3.5 is the range. Now if you are somebody who wants to get into advertising, right? So in advertising, again, it starts from 3.5 to 4. This is the average salary, I'm telling you. But we do have seen that the students with the very good skills just after completing their graduation has also been offered by a with a job of 7 lakhs annually package as well. But alongside, if you look at the radio also, again the entry level is 3.5 an average, that I would say. But if you get into in the film industry, which is if you are somebody who is a writer, right? And so you can sell your story in one go for 5 lakhs as well. So it all depends that what kind of a skill you take up, but 3.5 is the average, and it goes up slowly and slowly. But if you get into international projects, right? So this is where I'm talking about in India. But if you go internationally and you look up for the projects, so there, if I talk about their currency, for example, for a single unit production, you do get $500 as well, right? For a very small, because very recently one of my student, he has been a part of one series which is there on the Netflix now. So for a very little part, he has got a good amount of money. So but in India it is 3.5. If you're somebody who really want to to choose media as your career opportunity, the only suggestion I would like to give you is work on your skills, because that is the only thing that we require, as a part of a media professional. Work on your skills means start with very basics. You must know first how to do communication, right? That's a very basic thing. You should know how to use your body language. You should have a good observation power. You should have a good analytical view, right? So besides this, then you choose your subunit, that yes, I want to be an editor, yes, I want to be a photographer, yes, I want to be a videographer. So then whatever subset you choose, you specialize in that skill. That is the only key to be a good media professional. So with that note, I would like to wish you all the very best. And if you still have any questions related to this stream, if there is something that you believe that this whole video has not answered, so you can drop in a question, we will be happy to reply you back. Thank you.